What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the UFL Recap. Today is June the 8th, and what an amazing week we've had, Championship Week. Things have been going pretty good as far as our gambling is concerned. I'll get to that in a little bit. As you can see, I got a little banner right there. I'm just going to plug my site real quick. If you go to winnable.com, WINIBLE.com/Justin Paul Sports. I'll give you 15% off a 14-day plan of my subscription. I've had picks 7 units up already. I got my picks up for today. They're still playing out with the Pacers game. That being said, let's talk about the UFL this week. So it was Championship Week. Let's recap the game earlier. We had Michigan at Birmingham. The Stallions looking to go for that 4-peat. I mean, it'd be unprecedented in any kind of sport to go for 4 championships in a row. And hosting, and they've had Michigan's number. I mean, Michigan's really struggled to defeat them. I liked Birmingham -1 in the hook, not just because of the history, but just because of what's been going on as far as Bryce Perkins. We didn't know if he was going to be fully available. It was kind of a mystery the last few weeks of the season if he was going to play or not now. Had we known that he was going to play from the jump, I would have not automatically, but I would have been more prone to take them. I don't know what the odds makers were thinking at giving Birmingham 1.5. There may have just been the trend of Birmingham being able to take care of Michigan, but what a performance. What a performance in this game. Both teams offensively, they were playing fantastic. Michigan jumped out to that early lead, and Birmingham just never could recover. I mean, 44 points were on the board. We look at the stats here. Bryce Perkins, 238 yards and a touchdown. But Michigan loves to run that RPO, and it felt like Michigan the whole game was running the same play. It was either hand off, throw to the flat, or keep, and Birmingham just did not have an answer for it. Michigan was relentless in moving the ball downfield. They had a couple of nice long drives. Bryce Perkins just looked absolutely amazing. And Toa, or I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, 3 rushing touchdowns. If you can't stop the run, I mean, Birmingham got gouged at home. It's kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's fortunate for fans of the UFL that don't like Birmingham. I mean, when Alabama Dynasty said people certainly want them to end. Got a couple comments here. Thanks. I got a few viewers here. Championship game is going to be lit. That is right. It is going to be lit. We're going to get into that matchup here in a moment. Sports Talk John says, for real. Hey, it's true. And Bobby, my boy Bobby, who does the all 22 breakdowns with me, joined up. He says super dub, but it was a good game. It was an entertaining game. It was the more entertaining of the 2 games. Birmingham definitely had a great season with all their quarterbacks. I mean, Jamar Smith started the game. He got yanked for Matt Corral. I mean, you had that pick 6 for Smith, and that kind of felt like the difference. Birmingham wouldn't go down. You know, they took a punch. It was like a heavyweight fight, like a great UFC fight. 2 big dogs in there just throwing blows left and right, throwing punches. One couldn't put the other one away, but it was just Michigan's time. I mean, Birmingham didn't really run the ball a lick. I mean, Maribel was the leading rusher at 28 yards. He has touchdown. Deion Kane had 6 grabs, 124 yards, so that's great performance there, but no end zones. Malik Turner had that great touchdown throw or touchdown reception. He had 6 grabs, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Sometimes just, you know, when you get 2 heavyweight fights in there, it was just great. I really am curious to see what the line is for the championship game with Michigan going against DC in St. Louis. I know St. Louis has got to just be besides themselves. But we also kind of heard a little bit about the post-game presser with Skip Holtz saying, you know, kind of hinting that it might be his last hurrah. Who knows? I mean, coaching in this league this season has just been a whirlwind. I mean, we have, you know, Wade Phillips left due to health. Bob Stoops didn't coach the last game. DC replaced their coach before week 1 and their coordinators. And look at them now. Look at them now. You know, they persevered. Houston, I thought, would have made a postseason run there, but it got a little sloppy towards the end. So I think we got a pretty good championship matchup coming. I think the league is doing some things right as far as just letting these games be what they are and not trying to make this thing anything else as opposed to what the league is supposed to be. But I did lose my bet on that one. I had Birmingham minus 1.5 for my paid subscribers. So it's my play of the day. It was a 2-unit play. I missed on that one. It's the first one I missed. We're still up units all season. So that's what you want to be when you're doing sports betting. You definitely want to be up. You don't want to be, behind the 8 ball on anything. And our free play also today, first free play I missed. I had the Mets and the Rockies under 10, and the Rockies just are atrocious. The Mets had 13 runs by themselves, but 10's a high number for a baseball game, especially when one of the teams can't hit a lick. And I thought that was a pretty good bet. It's a free bet to throw out there. But nonetheless, let's go to our second game. It's DC, St. Louis, and what a disaster for the Battlehawks. What a disaster everywhere. The fumbles on the kickoffs. Max Duggan looked like in that TCU Georgia game when he was back there just getting destroyed in the line of scrimmage. He really isn't the answer. I think St. Louis would have had a better season if Manny Wilkins didn't get hurt. I think that was the key to their season in spite of all their wins, the Sailors and Hakeem Butler missing games, but they just kept winning. Great home crowd, great energy, solid football team. Obviously worthy to be here, but DC's just got the complete deal. They've got the complete team. Jordan Thomas has played at a great level. I mean, he's kept them in ball games. He's not erratic with the football. He doesn't force anything. I mean, every quarterback has plays that they like to have back, but I can't think of, a team that's been more consistent than the Defenders. I mean, St. Louis pulled their quarterback, put Brandon Silvers in there, and when they did, they moved the ball through that touchdown pass, that nice touchdown pass, one-handed grab in the end zone, so that was a great play. And then thereafter, however, it's just St. Louis couldn't get anything going, couldn't get the run game going, just sloppy football. It felt like Abram Smith was having his way. I mean, let's look at the stats here. Hey, Abram Smith wasn't even a leading rusher. Leading rusher, Deion Jackson, 21 carries, 110 yards, 2 tutties. So we know that Deion Jackson is absolutely handling business. Jordan Ta'amu, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Just game management football. Seth Williams, 2 grabs, 61 yards and a touchdown. So the football is being spread out accordingly. It felt like St. Louis tripped over their own feet on that first possession, being inside their own 10-yard line. Just wild, bad playoff performance overall by St. Louis. Sailors had 9 carries, 45 yards. He did have a touchdown. Max Duggan had 105 yards passing. You can't win like that. You can't do it. He is indecisive as a quarterback. Now, I've never played quarterback clearly except on Madden, and I know it's easy to sit here as an armchair quarterback, but if you just watch the game, even if you didn't have any action on the game, you just watch him play, the man is indecisive with the football. He's absolutely indecisive. He can't decide whether he wants to pass it or if he just wants to take off, and he wants to take off with the football. When he passes, he doesn't trust his own reads. He doesn't. He takes a look, and if it ain't there, he hesitates, holds on to the football all day. I've never seen anything like it. He just holds on to the rock and says, maybe something will happen that I like. It almost turns into backyard football. I think that he's going to be I wonder if he's going to stick around because he's been out of college for a while now. There's a reason why the Chargers cut him. I can see why he struggles to stick on a roster. I mean, they pulled him in the title game. I mean, 2 quarterback changes in championship games are usually signs of disaster. In Birmingham's case, Matt Corral went in there and lit it a little bit. I didn't think that he should have been put in the game. He should have started if he was going to play. But Skip Holtz has three trophies, and I certainly do not have any. So, I do have this one right here for fantasy football winning, and that's why you got to watch my Dynasty All 22 breakdowns with my boy Bobby at Bobby's Big Board, so we can help win championships for you on that kind of level. That's what we do with this channel. We discuss spring football, but we also talk a little bit of sports betting. And 4-0, clean sweep on CFL this weekend. Unbelievable. None of these games came down to the wire. Just had my pulse on them. Man, they love to run the ball. Canadian football just kind of cracks me up because they have the 3, you only get 3 downs to make it. And when you get the 3 downs, you just kind of have to really, really be decisive about what you're going to do as far as making plays. I mean, the play calling just totally changes. It's crazy stuff, though, for sure. But, man, what a ride. What a ride it was. Hold on a second. I'm getting a notification. Okay, here we go. That's neither here nor there. So, yeah, great weekend for Canadian football. I'll be doing capping for spring football all the way through the summer. I'll have my Major League Baseball plays. As far as what we're doing for what's going on next week for the UFL, I guess is the next question. So we got our matchup. We got DC, and we got obviously Michigan. The game's going to be in St. Louis. I think DC's got a little bit of an edge because their defensive line was just a wrecking crew today. I felt Michigan was one-dimensional offensively, and if DC can just find a way to stop those RPO plays, I think DC goes ahead and likely handles it. But we're going to see, and I'll have my pick next week for sure, so you don't want to miss out on that. I do want to see what the UFL does in the offseason. Are we going to expand the league? Are we going to modify rules? What's going to be different? I mean, the league definitely lacks some promotional standpoint. It felt like there was a little bit of consistency in there, but we'll see what's going on. So I got a question that popped in right here. Bobby's asking, who do you think is the best quarterback in the UFL? Well, a lot of people would easily say Bryce Perkins because his athleticism. He runs the RPO game to where he's so hard to tackle. There were a couple plays. There was a 3rd and a mile play where he took off and he ran like towards the sideline. One guy just quit on the play, though, to be fair. But he made all the right reads today. It was probably his best game as a quarterback in a long time. But I like Jordan Ta'amu. I like what he does for DC. I mean, they didn't play last week. That game was in the rain, so it really didn't and it was delayed. You kind of didn't get a feel for what they were going to do, but he's been a steady hand. And Matt Corral led the league. Birmingham was on pace to lead everything until his injury. So if you were asking me to say, based on a total overall season, I'd go with Jordan Ta'amu and Perkins right after that. But if Matt Corral had played the entire season, I think Matt Corral could have been a candidate for the MVP. It's just an unfortunate circumstance for Birmingham starting in week 1 when Alex Magoo, former league MVP, goes down the first game of the season. So it's just kind of a unique season for Birmingham and for some of these teams with their quarterbacks just constantly yanking them and just a big lack of inconsistency across the board. We also saw, at the end of the season, I think Luis Perez might be done with football. I don't know. Because he's constantly up there in stats, but man, he's slow on his feet. But sometimes he makes these good decisions. He's just like the most average quarterback I've ever seen in my life. But next week, we're going to kind of see. We're going to kind of see what's going on. So let's see here. We got another comment here. What does it say? So we're saying Ole Miss quarterbacks on the UFL. Well, coming from Bobby, who is a Mississippi State fan, I know he had to swallow some pride to kind of say something like that. But Corral just played well. I mean, when you got Deion Jackson down there and decent running game and good coach, you're able to do all kinds of stuff. But it was an electric game today for their game with Michigan. Just tons of scoring. But man, Birmingham defensively just couldn't get out of their own way. It felt like there were a couple plays they quit on, and it felt like they were just long, like 70-yard touchdown pass. But it was a 10-yard pass, and the wide receiver just busted open. So it felt like there was busted coverage everywhere. Everywhere. But I'll tell you what isn't busted, and that's my picks. I'm going to push my own picks. This is my channel. You got to go to Winnable, WINIBLE.com/Justin Paul Sports. Every day, there's 2 plans up there. You can either get the free play subscription, which I post every day, and I post it short on here so you don't miss that one, or you get my paid picks, which has just been crushing it the last 2 days. Today I haven't crushed it, but when you're betting on sports or betting on anything, you realize that you can't win every single time, because if we did, I wouldn't be doing live streams and I'd be retired somewhere where the weather is warm all the time. But that's the goal, is to make some extra money, vacation money, spending money, whatever you want it to be. That's the kind of money we want to make. We always want you to gamble responsibly. And I will have a bet next week for UFL. Looks like right now the Pacers are down 20. I had them plus 11, so that still has a chance to cover, but that's in the middle of the 3rd quarter. I thought Oklahoma City would sweep them. But as far as UFL, I'm going to go back to the UFL a little bit. I think what's on the horizon next, there were some rumblings that there was some off-season trademarks for some teams. I don't recall off the top of my head which 4 towns they are. But in a perfect world for somebody who likes spring football, there's all kinds of scenarios that people love to discuss because the possibilities are endless. It's not like the NFL where you've got 32 set towns and 32 set fan bases, and it's just going to be what it is. There's no real opportunity for expansion unless you're looking international. And a lot of people don't want international expansion that are NFL fans because there's time constraints and traveling. And, if you live out west like I do, a lot of people don't want to start watching football at 6 a.m. unless you're a degenerate like I am, which I definitely am. I can watch football all day, get a little action going on it. No problem. That's what I'm here for, though, to help you guys provide with the action. But I do think that, right now the league has 8 teams, and I think that they can go to 8 more. And I think they need to touch on some of those former USFL cities, and they need to come out west. San Diego, Phoenix, because I want one here. I'm greedy. Seattle. And I would maybe put one either in Salt Lake, I think Seattle, San Diego, Salt Lake, and Phoenix would be a nice West Coast ride. And then you could do a few more. Philadelphia had a USFL team. You could probably throw one there. New Jersey had one. Orlando is ripe for one. And I think you could put that one in New Orleans. There's a lot of people who, let's see, we got a comment here. Pro Catch Bryce Perkins season. Curious. Leave a comment here. Do you think that he's going to lead them to the championship next week? Are you confident in Bryce Perkins? Or is he just balling out? Do you think he can do that against a much better Washington defense as opposed to that Birmingham defense, which looked like Swiss cheese today? It was just an amazing performance today. Zero doubt. Zero doubt. I mean, let me just take a look here at the full box score for that game. Let's see what we got here. Just overall, I mean, Michigan had, let's see here. Michigan 371 yards at Birmingham's 300. Pass yards were even. Michigan ran the ball 100 yards better. I mean, down the line, they had 10 more plays, time of possession by about 10 minutes. So Bryce Perkins did what he did. He did it, and he did it well. He says, easy. GTA is slinging it too. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I was asked earlier, who do I think is the best quarterback in the league? Man, I just kind of wonder if it's Jordan Thomas. I just kind of wonder if it's him because Bryce Perkins is more of an exciting player than Tamu, but Tamu is kind of like, the more efficient all-around player. Would Bryce Perkins be as good without his running game? That's what I kind of wonder. Jordan Tamu, he can just throw the ball everywhere and make plays and get a couple scrambles here and there. It all comes down to play. I just think that DC's going to have the play calling and have everything going on to where it's going to be a hell of a football game next week. And what a hell of a season it's been as far as, the UFL. It got off to a real slow start. But, again, what I've always said is the UFL needs to start their season the bye week of Super Bowl bye week when there's no sports on. You're still in the regular season lull of the NBA and the NHL, and there's nothing on that weekend. There's the Pro Bowl games. Nobody really cares for those. It's just going to be kind of sloppy when they start at late March. People are kind of into March Madness when the season started, and all the eyes are going to be on that because, UFL doesn't have a casual fan base because it's still so new. It's not like the NFL where people can kind of say, hey, we've got this established league and the NFL is king. I think people love football enough to watch spring football. They just need to time it better. Because once the NFL season's over and you have a gap that's 6 weeks, people can just kind of lose interest in football unless you've got a UFL team in your town. And instead, they need to kind of move it up to kind of capitalize to when football's at its peak, which is Super Bowl Sunday. If they did a full schedule that week before and then the next week, Super Bowl Sunday, that Saturday, just have a full schedule lineup, you would have an absolute frenzy of football to where you're 2 weeks into the season for this league. Everybody watches the Super Bowl, and then you're going to lose viewers, obviously. But then, hey, yesterday there was games on, and there was games on last week. There's a league going on, and then you're already into week 3 the following week with no downtime. And that February schedule, you're still not hitting March Madness. You're not going to hit. There's that lull from Super Bowl Sunday to March Madness of NBA and NHL regular season and college basketball. It's really those sports aren't as popular as football are. So if someone from the UFL was to see this stream, if Daryl Johnston was to see this stream, or The Rock, or anything else, there's just that time. It's like catching it. It's, I don't want to, I guess maybe a comparison would be like buying a stock, right? And the stock is hot, and you might see it dip a little bit, but the dividend will pay off higher, as opposed to buying it to where it's going into the bear market, because that's what I think happens for a lot of spring football fans. They buy in late because the start date's late. The XFL in the first go around started the week after. They had it right. And I think it had more viewership than the USFL, which started later. I think the original concept of the USFL was to say, hey, we're going to go back to the traditional setup that we had in the 80s, where we opened the season on Easter Sunday with a triple header. Well, a lot of people weren't around. Like, I was a young man when that happened. I don't even remember the USFL of the 80s when I was a kid, and I was small. Let's see here. The merger is all about solely accepting the XFL. I think, you know what? I kind of half agree with you, because I didn't see it as a competition, amazingly, between an XFL and the USFL. I was thrilled that these leagues merged. I was thrilled for it. And I know I'm wearing an XFL hat, and I actually do got an XFL shirt on, because I am a fan of Vince McMahon and WWE and things along those sorts. But I didn't beat down the USFL. I just was like, hey, there's more football for me to watch. But I think when they merged the leagues, they should have kept all the teams and moved the one from Houston. I think Houston was the only city that had everything, and they could have brought it out here to Phoenix, because there was a team in Vegas, and I'm greedy, so I'm not going to sit here and disguise it. But XFL pandemic was really going to be elite, because they had taken the 2 years to build it. They had put the proper investments, and Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck had, the TV contracts and everything set in place. And there were more, a lot of people like to talk about attendance to these leagues. And honestly, I think it's kind of something to where you just got to grow it. You've got to grow this product. I've read comments, so we need to move teams. Like, stop doing that, because you have to rebuild every time you stop. It's almost like if you're in a relationship with somebody, and then once the honeymoon season's over, you're just going to fold operations and go find yourself a new girl. Well, that can get exhausting. I don't care who you are. So you want to kind of plant roots. I know a lot of people are really irritated with Memphis, but it's the smallest market of them all. And yeah, they only getting 4,000 people out there, but compared to DC, that's got a city 10 times the size of that, and they can't fill the stadium on that per capita rate, it makes Memphis look better. So keep all these teams where they are, expand it some more, start the season earlier. But man, the only thing I'm going to really, really push for is, and I may be in the minority on this, but put an extra point option in this game. I know people are like, oh, I like it when they go for two, blah, blah, blah. It's just it's not traditional football. It's not traditional, even the Canadians kick extra points. There has to be an element to kicking extra points. Keep the 3-point conversion. It always feels awkward for me to constantly go for two. I don't even do that when I play college football on my, video game when I'm relaxing. I just think that's kind of crazy. But, it is what it is. So let's see here. Season 3 was the final season of Listen Tennis Group. Would you move Memphis? No. I'm riding or dying. I'm not moving. From what I understand about Memphis in particular is there's somebody that's a higher up with FedEx that I think is investing in the league. So they're not going anywhere. Houston had the worst attendance problem. For a city I think Houston is the 4th biggest city in the country. It's almost the same size as Chicago, and they just can't get people to come out there. It's the Rockets stink. The Texans season was way over. It was just absolutely awful. Let's see here. What's this say? Bobby's saying the closer to traditional football, the better. Makes it more digestible. That's exactly right. That's just it. If you I like Canadian football. There's things about it I would change. Canadian football has the 3 downs kill me. That's the hardest adaptation. I can live with the bigger field. I can live with the rude point if you want to do a couple things that make your league special. But I think you just got to have 4 downs of football. It's just kind of crazy to not have that. Starting to agree with me on the extra point. it's traditional football. Like the NFL got it right by moving it back. Instead of just giving you an automatic kick like they do in college, like the college rules are the best in my opinion. I think you should only have to have 1 foot in for a catch, because you can only have one little tip of the football over the end zone line and it counts. Why do you need both feet in? 1 foot in works for me. College football had the 2-point conversion way before the NFL adopted that in the 90s. Way before. And the 2-point conversion was kind of unique to that game, but you had the option. So for the UFL, I'm okay with that 3-point option, but just let teams go for the extra point, because traditional scoring is easier on the eyes. Michigan did a lot of 1-point conversions. And at one point I'm watching this game and I can understand the scoring a little bit better, because the scores are more traditional when it's 23-14 as opposed to 22-16. I know that's like it's like a brain thing, but when you watch a sport, you kind of get used to scoring a certain way and strategizing a certain way. I mean, everybody can do math, and it's not hard math, and make your decisions accordingly. But I think it can help the league just by saying, hey, we're doing extra points. In a perfect world, we'd get 16 teams in the UFL and merge with the CFL. But it would all have to be American football rules for it to work. I'm sorry. But I do like how Canadians, they can have 4 players in motion to the line of scrimmage. That's kind of fun. It's kind of like a hybrid of indoor football rules versus traditional football rules with unique scoring. And I watched all 4 of those Canadian games, and they run the ball. They were real physical. It was really good football. It's the most I enjoyed it was this weekend. Plus, I enjoyed going 4-0 on my picks, ladies and gentlemen. So please, if you want to make money in your picks, winnable.com/JustinPaulSports. There's a free plan, $99 14-day plan, plus 7 units already since I've gone professional. Let's keep those numbers going. Who do I think is a player that is very underrated in the UFL? It's the kicking, because the kicking everywhere is immaculate. Birmingham's kicker is 375 pounds. I'm just kidding, he's not, but he's the thicker kicker. Just nailed one from 56 today. The Jake Bates story last year, he was on Michigan drilling these 60-yard field goals. For some reason, the kicking in the UFL is absolutely immaculate. It's going to be – the NFL is just going to keep sniping these guys, because it's the one position where you could say make the kick or miss the kick. There's no difference in kicking or goalposts or rules from the UFL to the NFL. The goalposts are the same distance. They're the same width. Same rules apply. There's no craziness. I mean, if you're belting 55 yards in a spring football game, NFL rosters are going to give you the invite in the fall. It's just non-negotiable. Yeah, and there's some punters too. Marquette King is punting in the UFL. So the punting game, is going on and on and on. So let's see here. Another comment. I like the extra point and 1 foot for entertainment value. What if we're leaning towards NFL practicality, then now kick option at 2 feet? I don't know. I don't like calling your stuff out before. One thing that I got a couple viewers here. Like, I know Bobby personally doesn't watch UFL, but UFL has adopted the rule to where when you're losing a game, instead of going for an onside kick, you get a live ball, 4th and 12. I think it's at your own 25-yard line. And we saw it today, and Max Duggan did what he does best, and he threw an interception. I mean, he just looked horrendous today. He looked horrendous. Poor guy. I feel bad for him, but he's just not a quarterback. What he reminds me of is Taysom Hill. He reminds me of Taysom Hill. I think you could put him in there in situations like near the goal line or a 3rd one. Like, you can put packages up for him, because he understands the defense as far as like, hey, he's a threat to at least maybe throw the ball for one play, or he can run it because he loves to run. He's not scared to take a hit, or he'll give the inside dish. So that's what I think I would do with him. I mean, he wasn't their quarterback 1 going into the season. We're going to see next season if Manny Wilkins comes back, to where if Anthony Beck is going to say, hey, we've got a couple position, packages here for Max, because you're going to account for 3 plays or 3 different options when he has the ball. So what's it say here? Yeah, onside passes. Yeah, onside pass is what it's called. So the UFL has been a great season. I mean, it's kind of bummed out, like I said, that it's coming to an end, but it's timed perfectly with CFL. So I'll get to watch some 3-down football. Man, their season is 18 weeks. Their season is longer than the NFL's, but there's less teams. They've only got 9 teams. CFL needs to have 10. CFL gets 10, UFL gets 10. We merge, we ditch the CFL rules, maybe we'll implement the root kick. CFL's got that big ass field with a 55-yard line. That's got to go though. I love you, Canada, but that's just got to go. But any more questions? I had a real good crowd today. Thanks to Pro Catch joining me, and Bobby, and Sports Talk with John, and 72 Season Metal asking these great questions. I will be doing this next season for sure, because I'm getting more experience with the streaming. I'm going to get things, add things to it to where it's fun. I want more people to come and have fun and talk sports and talk sports betting. Those are things that I absolutely love. I'll put the banner up here one more time. Winnable.com/Justin Paul Sports. 15% off if you use the code all22 JPS. All 22. Because every Friday on this channel, with my boy Bobby, we go over film. We discuss dynasty rookies. We discuss dynasty fantasy football. We discuss all that stuff. We want you to be competitive in dynasty fantasy football. Bobby and I are about to be in our first league together this year. It's going to be fantastic stuff. We love football. We love sports. I could watch college film all day long. I might do a college preview this fall. I might just stick to SEC ball. It just depends on what I'm thinking or what my time constraints are, because it's just where it's at. All right, I'm going to take one more question here and wrap this up. Do you think betting on MVP odds is a good idea? Probably not, right, since it's just dart throws. So my personal take on sports betting when it comes to bets in general is I'm selective. I personally believe in the long-term betting. If you see this book right here, it's written by Billy Walters. He's the all-time best bettor ever. And he's been doing it for years, and his story is fascinating. And he's always been about sides and totals mostly. Now in his story, he's done all kinds of crazy stuff to where he's like bet his life away, but then wins it back the next day in pool. I mean, you name it, he bets on it. I'm not a gambler that does all these wild, expansive bets like a lot of people do, because I think that when you're doing that stuff, unless you've got a mastery of it, you can absolutely ruin your life. And that's not what I do, right? That's not what I believe in. I believe in betting on sports that I enjoy. And sometimes I'll bet on things that, I may not know a whole lot about, but it's casual. It's where I can afford the loss. Like, that's the way that I approach betting. I can afford the loss when I bet. You never bet outside your realms. But I did take a futures bet. A lot of people love those. I might go do a win total for the year. I might do my own gambling show on that, because I don't think those are improbable, because you can predict yourself how many wins in a season you think a team will have. But the problem with that is everybody, when they bet those, here's a little piece of advice. If you want to bet futures on any sport, the line is set for the team to be absolutely healthy for the entire season. So with football, if your quarterback gets hurt, man, and you got a 10-win total, it's over. It's over. I'm telling you, it's over. I mean, like, the Packers last year should not have hit it. They got lucky with Malik Willis that played so well. But it's real cautious in football specifically. So it's just kind of saying what we got here. The Browns have 4.5. I'm pumping the over. So I like the over on 4, because 4 is I think the Browns can win 5 football games. And that's a team that's in disarray at quarterback. I think it doesn't matter who they put in there. It's so hard to be really bad in sports like that. When your over-under is 5 or less, I'm taking the over almost every single time. I did take a futures bet in baseball. I took the White Sox, but they were so bad. Okay, so last season they were so bad. They won 41 games. The line was 49. Traditionally, you're not going to win less than 60 games. And they assumed that the White Sox were just going to repeat this just horrendous performance. And they've already got like 21 wins, so I think I'm on my way. I feel really good about that over bet. We'll see. You know, like I do like, but picking a player to win an award is really hard, because you got to hope they don't get hurt. You got to hope that the play style, you really got to know what you're doing. It's so hard to win league MVP in any sport. I don't care if it's baseball. I don't care what it is. To pick somebody to win the Heisman and win the league MVP is very hard. Don't be fooled. Casuals don't know. Even experienced bettors, I think, are apprehensive because the odds are so. You're picking one person to be the best, no matter what. And if it's the same player that everybody thinks is the best, then the odds of betting on that person, the payoff's not worth it, right? So if you're doing that kind of specific player prop betting for a season, like over 4,000 yards, like I think that's fire. Don't touch that stuff. Now, if you want to do a single game prop, right, for an upcoming game, that I can kind of see to where you'll be able to scout that a little more. So if you're saying like, hey, you know, in this game, like I'll just use the Bears, for example. Bears' first game of the season, Caleb Williams is over under 300 yards passing. Like that, you can kind of register and have a feel for what you think a player will do. But over an entire season, you can send me your money. I have a Venmo in my X. If you just want to throw away your money like that, you can send it to me. Or if you wanted to bet on a futures bet, just pay me $99, and I'll give you bets for 2 weeks that'll have much better odds of hitting than a futures bet. You understand what I'm saying? Like, avoid MVP, avoid awards betting, avoid season totals for individual players. Stick to single game props. Touchdown props are kind of risky. First touchdown props are really risky, but people love those. And DraftKings, if DraftKings or FanDuel or any of those promote the shit out of it, that means run from it. A single game parlay is so hard to hit. Any parlay, the odds just stack against you. Everybody gets turned on. They're juiced with that payout. Oh, I can pick two things correctly in the game and I'll get paid at better odds. But what you don't know is if you just bet those two things separately, unless they're obnoxiously favored, you're going to get better rewards even if you split, and you win if you split. On a parlay, if you tie one, you lose. That's what people don't understand about betting, man. That's part of why I have this channel, is to help educate my customers to say, you know, we want to win money. We want to enjoy football games. We want to watch our players bet. The only time that I bet on a whim on a player prop was last year. Aaron Rodgers was coming towards his 500th touchdown, and the Jets, I think it was either the last game or the second to last game, and I put a little money on Devontae Adams getting the touchdown pass, and it wasn't the 500th, but he did cash that ticket. I knew that was going to happen. I think it was the last game because I think Rodgers might have been considering retiring too. So you got to put those kinds of factors into any kind of single game bets. They're more exciting, but for me, more excitement is totals or sides. And I even like some first half sides. If you think a team's going to come out and punch you in the mouth and lead at halftime, you know, you can check that line. I wouldn't do quarters. Then you're starting to be a degenerate. Like, you have to really look at what you're betting before you think you got a problem. Let's just see here. I shoot 80%, but it's all tied together. Are you talking about parlays? Don't do them. Don't ever do another parlay in your life, ever. Unless somebody gives you money and says, pick me one, then do it. Just bet a side. Subscribe to my Winnable. I have free picks that I put out there daily. They're easy to read. They're there to help you make money. You know, I'm here for those kinds of services. I've been betting on sports since 1990. In 1990, I bet my mom, that's true story, on the 1990 World Series, the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland A's. I told her the Reds were going to win because that's when I was young enough to really fall in love with baseball. And she thought, you know, I don't know if she did it to entertain me or if she did it because she really believed the A's, but we bet some chores and the Reds swept them. And I won. Then I bet in the 91 World Series, I bet a couple classmates, I bet the Twins over the over the Braves. Jack Morris wins in Game 7, complete game shutout, one of the best pitching performances in history. I'm doing this off the top of my head in 2025, memory something from 1991. Bet the World Series the next year, Toronto over Philadelphia. Joe Carter hits that Game 6. And I'm not saying I've won on my bets, but being able to because clearly that's not the case, but being able to put action on a game and have an understanding of the game, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, which are the three I really have the most understanding of, is why I do these kinds of things. I've lost so much when I was younger on sports betting. I lost so much, but I learned from it. And I never went into degenerate mode. And I turned my brain off from the, hey, I bet to make money, as opposed to doing it for the love of the game and having some extra money. And that's why I've gone professional, because I want my customers to know, hey, I've watched and bet and understand how those two things are married in a new market in the United States, because this stuff isn't even legal in 50 states. As far as like DraftKings and all those things, and they're getting people, it's like smoking. They're getting people early that don't understand the implications of how they're wagering money. And I look at books, and I'm telling you, like, I do this because I love it. I absolutely love it. It's not something to where I get filthy rich off it. I've made my money. I've got an in-ground pool here. I've got a hot tub. I've had my high wins, big money. I've got my truck, all that stuff. And I've done that because I've been paying attention to my sports betting for the last 35 years of my life. You see what I'm saying? So it's something I take super seriously, but I super enjoy it. It's almost like coaching. This is coaching, you know? And I teach bettors how to understand that they can't be emotional about wins or losses, that they have to understand that, you know, if you're hitting at 55% of your bets, you're just absolutely crushing Las Vegas. And people can't understand that. They look on Instagram and they look on the internet and they see these kids and they're flashing millions of dollars on a yacht or have this, you know, Alfa Romeo and these suits and these women and all this stuff. That's Candyland. That is not how betting works. You may do that if you do some crazy stuff, but crazy stuff rarely hits. But that's what they sell you. You know, if you look on X and you look at, I can't think of the feed off the top of my head, but I think it's BR betting. If you look at BR betting, they're like, oh, this parlay's going to hit if we blah, blah, blah. You know, and they're going crazy. It's like lottery, you know. But in lottery, your odds are like this. In sports betting, if you pick a side or a total, you've realistically got a 1 in 2 chance. It's the best way to wager money and make it. Your odds are best. Pick a side. Pick a side, stick with it. Don't try and stack all these extra, you know, it's again like dating. You just date a girl. But if you try dating multiple women, right, then you got all these various factors in there. And then you may slip up somewhere because you're trying to do this and that at the same time. And yeah, the payoff, maybe you get all this affection and attention. But if you just focus on the one in front of you and you stay happy and consistent and you consistently grow, just make your money. This is here. Unless you're me and you get 80K off a 10 leg. You know how hard? I've never done a 10 leg. First of all, I would never bet a 10 leg. So he's very fortunate that he hit 80 grand on a 10 leg. That's a once, he'll never do that again. I love you, Bobby. You will never, as Chris Jericho says, do that again, my friend. So, good talk, good wrap up to the UFL season. I want to thank you guys for joining me. We have been here for almost 45 minutes. We are going to be looking forward to some CFL plays. We got some Major League Baseball coming this week. We've got some UFL Championship next Saturday night on ABC. You guys should tune in and totally have it. Make sure you tune in on Friday to watch me and Bobby go over wide receivers for your rookie class. We know a lot of dynasty drafts are probably over for this year, but we still want to give you a little bit in depth if you want to make some moves before the season starts. It's almost the middle of June already. Preseason will be here before you know it. And yes, I do that NFL preseason. It's easy. You know why? Because they tell you who's going to play. If you're going to tell me that a player's not playing, starters ain't playing, you're giving me ammo to bet. Simple as. Simple as. It is good stuff. Again, one more time. You want to make some money? Justin Paul Sports. Winnable, WINIBLE.com/Justin Paul Sports. Use the promo code ALL22JPS. We will absolutely go on a run. We'll make some real money. We'll call it a day. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, I think it is going to be time for me to sign off. And I will see you guys next. I don't know if I'll do a stream next Saturday or Sunday, but I'm definitely doing one on Friday with Bobby. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please tell a friend. Please like, please subscribe, and have yourself a wonderful week at work. Well had.